The draft is very important, especially when we talk about the NFL. Because and let's just talk about the top few picks. The top few picks in the draft is very vital in not only your future, because you don't pick in the top five if you don't think, one, if you're not a good team, and the people that you pick, you hope that they're franchise changing players. And along with that draft, hopefully you hit, hopefully you don't. I mean, hopefully you hit. Sometimes you don't. A lot of times you don't. But you're not drafted high not to be a franchise changing player. And with the draft and with football in general and with sports in general, injuries happen. And we'll talk about two big injuries that happen in the sports world. But let's start with this one. Joe Burrow, this weekend, playing on the Washington team, tears his ACL, MCL, hurts his PCL. Like he pretty much shattered his leg. And he will be out for 9 to 12 months. Pretty much, well, definitely all of this season, pretty much all the next season. And what does this mean? This means a couple things, man. It means, one, I pray that he comes back healthy. I pray that even if I pray he's able to come back. We see people like Alex Smith who had multiple surgeries, and I'm not wishing what happened to Alex Smith on what happened to Joe Burrow. I'm just saying we saw what happened to Alex Smith, and after surgery upon surgery, he was able to come back, and now he's a starting quarterback for Washington. It was a pretty bad injury, and this just goes on to another. He, as in Joe Burrow, goes on to a list that includes great players like Odell Beckham Jr., Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa. These players that have season-ending injuries. Here's the bright side. The bright side is, Joe Burrow's young. And I think that he'll, a lot of people are saying he'll be able to come back from this. He'll be able to, it'll take a lengthy rehab. I mean, it's pretty much a year. But he's going to be able to come back. And what we saw from Joe Burrow before the injury, he's going to be good. He's going to be he's going to be able to come back, Lord willing, healthy, and able to lead the Bengals to whatever they want, he's able to be the starting quarterback. I started with the draft because the Bengals picked Joe Burrow to be a franchise-changing quarterback, and that's what he's looked like throughout the first, throughout this season. He was pretty much the front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year. It was pretty much between him and Justin Herbert, but I'm excited to see when he comes back. Of course, I don't wish injury upon anyone, but I'm excited to see what Joe Burrow is going to be once he comes back. Once he rehabs, and once he assumes the position back as the starting quarterback. But here's the thing that sucks. Now, I understand that you want to, of course you want to get drafted. Everyone that plays football, plays basketball, their dream is to be drafted. And their dream is to be an incredible player, probably win a Super Bowl, win an NBA championship, your dream is to be drafted. But here's the thing that really sucks for these high draft picks. You're more than likely, almost always, if you're a high top 5, top 10 draft pick, you're going to a bad team. And one thing that a lot of people have been saying about Joe Burrow is, while he's great, we don't know how long he can last playing on the Bengals. Now, I'm not saying leave the Bengals, but what I'm saying is, Bengals, you have a transcended talent. You have a player. He day one, he's your best player. you need to shore up the offensive line. You need to shore up the defense. You need to give him pieces. Now, yes, you gave him pieces. You have Tyler Higbee, Tyler Boyd, or you have AJ Green. You have those pieces, but his offensive line, the Bengals' offensive line is one of the worst offensive lines in the league. The defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. It's like, yes, I'm happy that these players get drafted, but it also sucks that they usually get drafted to teams where they're put into situations where they're not built to win. Now, you have very rare instances like look at the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have been bad for a while, but with Brian Flores, they're coming up, and now they have one of the best records in the league. While they did lose on Sunday, Tua came into an organization where he didn't have to start day one. You had Ryan Fitzpatrick, and because a lot of years of not being good and a lot of stockpile draft picks, you're able to come with a good defensive line. I mean, good defensive line, good offensive line. And that's very rare. On the other hand, look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow comes into it again. The offensive line is horrible. The defensive line is horrible. So it just sucks, man. It sucks because you want these players to succeed, but if they're not transcendent, they're not going to succeed, at least right away. And again, I pray for the speedy recovery of Joe Burrow. Now, I know if it's in the time frame, he will be able to come back next year. Like I said, it's about a year. So in a year, it'll be week 12 or week 11 in the NFL. But if I were the Bengals, more than likely, week 12 or week 11, week 12 in the NFL, you're not in the running for a playoff spot. You're not going to win a playoff game. Or you're not going to be in the playoffs. So if you think he's your franchise quarterback, which he's playing like he is, I would just sit him out the whole entire season for next year. I know that'll be probably a year and a half or close to a year and a half of no playing. But again, I wouldn't want to rush his rehab just for him to come week 11, week 12 and mess up something again. So again, I hope for a speedy recovery for Joe Burrow, and just take your time. I hope the organization takes their time with him, seeing as though he is your franchise quarterback. The franchise, you draft him number one, and he's played like a number one overall pick. So I hope they just take their time with him.